That is the Senate's Public Accounts Committee. Those are images we're getting from that session where Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya is expected to be grilled on, among other issues, county spending, and we will be getting details on that from Stephen Letong, who is on location. Now, the August elections are just around the corner. It's emerged that there are 18 aspirants for the presidency. Incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta will be Jubilee Party's flag bearer, while the opposition will be represented by Raila Odinga. Kenyatta is set to go for his second term as president, while Raila Odinga will be trying his luck for the fourth time after losing in 1997, 2007, and the year 2013. With me in studio, Abduba Duba, who is also a presidential candidate. We do know that this is not your first attempt at the presidency. What informed your decision to give it another try?
Well, it is a funny question. Because
why is it funny?
You're asking why I'm living the second time. You know, wanting to improve the country is wanting to improve my life and my living. So I tried it yesterday, I will try it today, I will try it tomorrow, and every day I try it, whether I'm spotted on the screen or whether I actually do it behind the bars. Anyway, we will improve this country and God will help us. There are some ideas that are really killing us. One, seriousness of a candidate. You are not serious. You know, in Kenya, seriousness is defined by you come from a big tribe. Number one, was your father rich? Was your father in the government? Has your father stolen? How much of the loot do you have? These are some of the funny divinations they have. Yet, if a person was born in Kenya, has gone to the primary school, the secondary, the university, and has learned the formal, informal, non-formal, has been vetted by all the organization, and has no problem, why do you dismiss him and doubt him as not being serious? That's very wrong. Number two, I have also had Citizen right now, the reporter saying, these candidates have come late. That is actually contrary to the constitution of this country. In fact, the media should actually shun from that. In this country, people are used to breaking the law, especially the president and the opposition. They break the law every other time. The president was suspected to be has actually killed a lot of people. He was taken to Hague. 3 years he was out at the corridors of the courts. Instead of apologizing that, guys, you gave me this mandate despite my problems, I'm sorry for the time that I've gone, I will bury myself in the office and work. He came and he started politics, forming this and killing this party and throwing that. When did he sit in office? Number one. Number two, if any leader is appointed or elected, the 5 years they are in office, it is throughout campaign. But according to the law, I don't know why you people want to respect one side of the law and break. Oh, you should respect the law, you should respect the law. How many times did women in this country say, give us the 2/3 or 1/3? Is that not a law? You would say, no, we will do it gradually. Why is one law favored and the other law not favored? What laws?
Okay, and as we wind up this conversation now, because we need to shift gears and discuss other issues, I want to sample the feedback. Somebody is saying, I'm really surprised. Do all these people think that being a president is just as little as being picked by the roadside? My question is, where were all of them, you know, by the time of President Moi? I think you should know better. Somebody here is saying Nazlin Omar is back. Somebody is saying there's good competition. It demonstrates that Kenya has people who have the ability to lead. See what happened in France and USA. Somebody here is saying that the higher the number, the better for Kenyans. Let's not feel constrained to only 2 choices. The only problem I have is with the media. They're doing so little to enlighten Kenyans with what each one of them has in store for the benefit of all. And finally, somebody here is saying, I hope all these other candidates will not turn out to be donkeys against the two horses. So, Gabriel, we want to change topics, but before that, the fact that the narrative has been that this is a two-horse race, but we're seeing an increasing number of independent presidential candidates you know, trying to unseat the incumbent and indeed also take on his main challenger, the ODM party leader and the NASA flag bearer. As we close this conversation, your thoughts on that? Is that healthy for the nation? Is it time for change?
Well, like I started out by saying, Lillian, I would not be the one as a voter, and I know so many other people may not come and claim, you know what, we are going to disenfranchise people. I don't think there's anybody who carries that. But again, let me start by diffusing something that my good friend again, Abdul Badida, has said. And he is right. He is right to talk about the seriousness of the candidates. But again, I told you about building yourself. You don't have to come from a family that has been toying into power for a long time. And I'll give you two scenarios. First one is the former President Daniel Arap Moi. We remember him. We were told he was a teacher. Came up to being the president of this nation. Somebody else, a good example like William Ruto, probably same case as my good friend Justice, who grew up in Korocho. And I'm talking about these are good cases for the nation to hear. Ruto, the other day, we were being told who is the current deputy president of this nation was selling chicken somewhere in Eldoret. And these are the people who he's built himself up. And that's what I'd like to see, many candidates building themselves up and encompassing the seriousness that it deserves. We talk about the United States, and you know, independent candidates are not, it's not just happening in Kenya. Any country carries independent candidates. We were just not told, and the media never covered them. I'm talking about the media in the USA, never covered the many other, not only, we only had probably one called Gary Johnson, who was the independent coming close, but there were hundreds of independent candidates. The first president of the United States, John Washington, was an independent candidate. He never subscribed to any prevailing monolithic dichotomy of what you'd call a party. And he's remembered as one of the great presidents back to back with somebody like Abraham Lincoln. I am not saying it's a bad thing or it lacks relevance when you're an independent candidate. What I'm talking about, though, is Kenya, first of all, must come to terms with what an independence stands for. And what I'm saying, they have a bigger task. Trust me on this one. They have a bigger task as compared to their others who have actually parties. Reason being, they number one have to sell themselves. Probably they don't have what you call the purchasing power. And then again, I do not want to, you know, to nullify that those are some of the important ingredients. Monetary aspect, having a support base. Those are some of the key ingredients for you to becoming or elevating yourself to status where people can listen and understand and actually get to buy into your vision. But traditionally, have Kenyans voted along party lines, or do they vote for individuals? When we look at the case of the independents who are up against big parties. Sadly so, Lillian. Sadly so. And when I say it's sad, it's because half of the time probably we do not sit down to think what this leader or what this particular candidate is talking about. We are so enshrined into our party element. You know, when somebody will just wait, who is NASA bringing as an independent candidate? We all run there. Who is Jubilee bringing in as a presidential candidate? We run there. So really, yes, there probably is a disservice when you look at that element. But again, who is to enlighten the voter but the candidate, he or she or herself? Those are the things that may come up. We can blame the media from here to Timbuktu, but really the ionis of selling oneself is not the media. It is to you. It's for you as a candidate to take yourself, to sell yourself, for people to recognize you, for them to buy into your vision, for them to buy into your dream. Yes, you want to do a lot for this country. You must sell yourself. And I think, apart from blaming people out there, I think you should burn that energy within yourself to sell your candidature.
We're shifting gears now. In the Kenyan Constitution, in Section 18 of the Election Campaign Financing Act, mandates the IEBC with setting spending limits for candidates and parties at least 12 months before an election. This is an effort to accord a level playing field to all candidates as well as to prevent corruption. According to the Kenya Gazette notice, the highest spending by candidates in the 2017 general elections are set as follows. Presidential candidates, a maximum of 5.2 billion shillings. Candidates for county governor, a maximum of 432 million. Candidates for member of Senate, a maximum of 432 million. Candidates for county women rep, maximum of 432 M. Candidates for member of National Assembly, a maximum of 33.4 million. And candidate for member of county assembly, a maximum of 10.3 million. So to you, Justice, as we continue with Citizen Extra, very interesting to note that the amount allowed for the presidential candidates is actually by far exceeding 5.2 billion. This is the number we're seeing here. What is your assessment of this in terms of campaign strategy and funding?
Actually, campaign has been very an expensive exercise, and as you've seen the figures, to traverse the entire nation and sell yourself and your policy to the citizens nationally is not an easy venture. And I agree, because the other political parties who have also surpassed and misused the campaign, and actually perception that people are having, Lillian, right now when you talk about two-horse race, most of them, including the media, could be limited just to money or the financial muscle, whereas our emphasis should be on issue-based. How strong? Some of us probably are elephant, you could not even call us horses, based on the issues that should render solutions to this country. And if the horses are being determined by the issues that they have, which are centered around the citizens, then I would agree, and I would even vote them. But having assessed and having sat down with alternatives, I watched. I'm not an independent candidate. I'm a political party leader, and I saw how people, various political parties were conducting their nomination. The so-called horses actually proved to us otherwise, because these parties did not even have party registers. These parties had very symbolic nomination exercise. To date, they're still in court because of a poor nomination exercise. And I think those are the elements that we should not limit Kenyans to. Kenyans and citizens have right, and have a democratic right to choose from better options. And this is why we organize our political party. We've had very minimal itches, and our candidates are out there. And as we are talking, Lillian, the issues that are affecting Kenyans are not going to change by how much money one has. They're not going to be changed by which tribe you're coming from. They're not going to be changed by the interest of family dynasties. But they can be changed if we start addressing them and discussing them. Right? We've been talking about education. Where points have been made regarding the system of 844. And 844, as it stands right now, in primary school, the 100% of people who are enrolled in primary school, it says only 75% proceed to secondary school. The 75 who proceed to secondary school, only 25% of them proceed to university level. In other words, the 25 plus the 50% in secondary school are all dropout, which according to the government system, even as we're talking right now, we are measuring and evaluating leaders based on their academic criteria, especially the certificates. These were individuals who they were not foolish per se.
Right.
But because of the system of education that these people were subjected to, some people would not even afford the secondary school fee, and they ended up. Let me just finish that point. Let me just finish that point, Lillian. They ended up not finishing education system, and as a result, the system graded them as failures. And also, the 25% who proceeded to university, look at the job market, because the priority of the government of the day today in terms of job creation and academic consumption of those who it is producing, but you find them are still also not getting employed, not being absorbed. And this is a crisis nationally. It's happening year in, year out. to come up with alternatives.
That's fine, that's well said. Mohammed Abdul-Badiba, the high spending by candidates in the 2017 general election, the limit for you as a presidential candidate ideally should be 5.2 billion. This is your second attempt. Previously, did you have to pump as much money into your campaign? Does money determine the level of confidence in the voter and the electorate in buying into your vision, into casting their ballot for you?
That idea of billions to be used is immoral, and if you are good in mathematics, the president's salary for 5 years, if he never touched a penny and he saved, would amount to 54 million. Then you ask him to use 5 billion. Where does he get it from and how does he use it? Number two, I give you an example of what happened yesterday. Muslims were called to State House and they clapped for Uhuru, and he gave them some money. I think it was 2 million, and he gave them bags of dates because fasting is starting the other time. But let me tell you the truth about Islam and Uhuru Kenyatta in this country, my perspective. Uhuru Kenyatta's father, the founder of this and the first president, has always referred to the Muslims as shifter, bandits. That was our tag. My father was a police officer, and he carried the tag, if he's seen walking, bandit, 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 bandit. Uhuru and Kibaki's time, we are called terrorists. Terrorists. If I'm walking, I'm Kenyan, not by default, I was born here, is a fact. Prophet Awar has beards and Yaken Rasta. Nobody questions it. Anyang Nyong has beards. Nobody questions it. You question my beards. This is biological. And we are called terrorists. My classmate was teaching at Moi Forces Academy, and he'd left school afternoon, and he was driving past Pangani. When he went to Guru Nanak, 2 people stopped his car. They opened the car, they took him. Up to today, it's not known. His children and wife went to TSC. Uhuru's time in the history of Islam and Muslims, extrajudicial killing, so many people have died, the highest number. When he gives people 2 million shillings for whatever, why? What is the 2 million? You call a person, you have an idea, you talk to him. Why give money? Do you think they don't have debts? Or what does Uhuru know about debts? It is immoral. It is corrupt. I was a teacher. My salary was 36,000 less 1 shilling when I was teaching at Lenana school. I realized that whatever I'm telling innocent students in class is not helping them. For education to be helpful, what they are told in class must be reflected in what they see in the environment. I tell them stealing is bad, and they can see somebody has gone with billions. I realize that now, wasting my time with these innocent students is not. I need to talk to Kenyans. I left. I was asked by IEBC, register open offices. I went to a county. I tell friends, come here, it's like this. What do you want? I need an office. Take this room. I need a chair. Bring that chair. Bring that table. We put it. Somebody comes and puts the name. Yeah? I remember in my campaigns and in forming the political party, I didn't have actually somebody to actually tell my problems in Taita Taveta. And I rented a small room for 2,000 to fulfill the requirement. I was asked to bring 600,000 for the registration of the party. I called 60 friends and I asked for 1,000. I took it. They asked me, how did you get it? I told them it's bullshit. You go and investigate. I don't need.
And we'll be coming back.
If I am hungry and I need a cup of tea, I will think of what is already corrupt.
Right.
A system that is already dead, you
So
give the
yours-
license. You
so
give the
yours-
license.
Okay,
So personally,
yours is a more strategic approach. Thanks for sharing that. We'll be coming to Gabriel on the fact that although there's an effort to accord a level playing field to all candidates and indeed an attempt to prevent corruption, some regions are capped at lower amounts since the spending limits are set based on factors such as geographical size and the population of an electoral area. We'll be talking about that very shortly, but before that, Wycliffe Oparanya, Kakamega Governor, has been summoned by the Senate Public